What's up, everyone? All right, so today's the first day of trading in Mexico, and I'm locking up a nice green day. I'm sitting right now up $8,042.96 on the morning. Not bad. I can't complain about that. Now, I will say that last week, as you may have noted in my game plan for the week ahead that I uploaded yesterday, last week was a little bit slower relative to my aggressive hot market goal of $100,000 per week. Last week, I came up with about $49,000 of profit. Okay, not bad. Can't complain about that, but a little shy of that aggressive goal. So the goal, $100,000 a week, is $20,000 a day, and factoring in no red days, which is, a little optimistic because red days happen. But nonetheless, I have been able to average that. So coming into the morning here today, I knew a couple things. Number one, I'm on my traveling trading station. So you could see it right here, front and center. So this is the setup that I've got. I've got my laptop, which is a Lenovo it's a Falcon F30. I used to use Lenovo's, but this is a Falcon F30. It's a 17-inch laptop. And then I have on this side a 15-inch USB monitor. This thing I have leaned up against a book. It's skinny as can be, as you can see here, which is awesome. It weighs almost nothing. Hold on, see, weighs nothing. See, that's you can't do that with every monitor. And so going through TSA is a breeze. It's super easy. I've got everything I need here, so I can just get right through. That makes the travel days a little easier. So all I have is the laptop and then these two USB monitors tucked on either side. Hey, I've got a little buddy here. Hey, buddy, how are you? Hi.
Downstairs.
You can go downstairs. I'm just working on a video right now, but you can play with this too if you want. It's a light. So so we got ourselves through travel day. Laptop, two monitors. Then I've got my microphone, and just kind of a nice little spot. So anyways, first day trading here in Mexico and locking up a green day. So I feel good about that. Daylight savings, that threw me off a little bit. So you guys were springing ahead, but I didn't change. So no change in the time here in Mexico. So now it's an hour. I'm an hour. Well, you're an hour ahead, so I had to get up an hour earlier. Anyways, that's the long and the short of it. So that, threw me off a little bit, but got up, came, into my little trading station here. It's pitch black, but had my little light, got it turned on, got settled in, and well, it was this morning. When I got up, it was completely dark. It was dark as could be in here, actually. Because even though they're open now, it was totally dark. The sun hadn't come up yet. So anyways, sat down and pulled up the scans, and I was disappointed to see that we really didn't have much that looked good. So that was sort of the first, oh boy, all right, today might be a little bit of a slow day. So if we jump on the scanners here, you can see there's the P&L for today. Leading gainer right now, RDFN up 76%, but it's 118 million share float, right? You guys can see that right there. That float's pretty high. CKPT, 41 million share float. TRVI, 42 million share float. MLYS, 23 million. These are all higher floats, the top five gappers. So, I prefer the floats that are a little bit lower because of that imbalance I'm looking for between supply and demand, right? We want low supply represented by a lower float and then high demand coming from breaking news. But, today we also the news that we had was a little lackluster. Now, none of that surprises me entirely because the overall market, has been a little shaky with, all the stuff with the tariffs. And actually, I didn't check to see what the exchange rate was coming down to Mexico. I don't know if it's better because of the tariffs. I think it might be, or what it is going up to Canada. Of course, I wouldn't go up to Canada this time of year. It's just too cold. But anyways, it doesn't really matter. So the market's been pulling back a bit, as you can see here, and that has created a little bit of a headwind, just in general. Especially, I think a lot of traders are sort of sitting on the sidelines, and I think a lot of companies might be holding back some of their juicier headlines and kind of, waiting for the market to be a little hotter. There seems to be sort of an interesting thing that happens with a lot of these small cap companies that when the market's hot, they are so quick to drop news, and they tend to drop headlines that are topical with why the market's hot. So like if, Bitcoin is strong, then all of a sudden these companies are putting out news that they're going to add a strategic reserve, a Bitcoin reserve, right? They're jumping on the bandwagon. When we had the COVID pandemic and everything else, a company would put out news, that they were, it was something related to that. Like they just sort of try to jump on the trend. And in some ways, those are companies that are a little bit desperate. Usually their stock price has been beaten up for a long time. They're hoping traders will jump on the stock and kind of help lift it up. Sometimes that's so they can do an offering. Other times it's just so the company can stay in compliance. But if they're quick to put out headlines when things are hot, they're probably equally hesitant to waste, their ammo when the market's colder. So when it is a little colder, as it's been here, just these past couple of days, I think it's not surprising that that sort of becomes a bit self-fulfilling, where now that it's cold, it kind of stays cold because companies are maybe reluctant to put out news. Now, of course, other companies have no choice but to put out their headlines when they're scheduled, like earnings. And so eventually we might get a stock that does, no, don't have that yet. You can go downstairs. But you should save that. No, that's too early for those. Yeah. No, not for me. Not for me either. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's too early for me too. Fair is fair. So, and then DWTX hitting the scanner here. Let me say something about this one. So this one popped up several times pre-market, and I said, and I actually lost $34 on it. I took one trade, and I was like, nope, that's not going to work. My trade was at 7:15 on this pop right here. So there was a pop, and it reversed. And then it popped and reversed. And then it popped and reversed. So now it's coming up a little bit here. But I just said, I just can't trust it. Yesterday's high or Friday's high was about 8:05, 8:10. So I like that it's breaking that level. But honestly, I just, what? Maybe you guys get a nice move on this. It's got a nice low float, but I just felt like, where is it on the top gainer scan? It's you got to go down the scan. It's not a leading gainer. I don't know that it's going to be obvious enough. So I'm just worried that it's not going to be safe. And that's kind of the problem here today. By the way, I'm going to do an episode while I'm here in Mexico, a Q&A episode where I'm going to answer questions. So if you guys want to throw questions in the comments that you've been dying to hear me answer, you can put them down in the comments. The questions that are the most popular, I'm going to try to hit those. So if you have some general questions about trading and how to get started, feel free to put those in the comments of this episode, and then I'll check it later and use that to put together my Q&A. So anyways, DWTX, I got one trade on that, and I was like, you know what? I probably shouldn't have even taken that trade because the volume is so light. Thinly traded, pops up, drops down. You can't trust it, and it's not obvious enough. So that was actually my first trade of the day at 7:15. Lost $34. All right, doesn't matter. Second trade was TNXP. So that was at about 8, a little past 8 a.m. TNXP had news that came out, and it popped up a full $1 a share. I bought 3,000 shares and made $3,000, TNXP. But it reversed, a full round trip. And I was like, even in spite of having news. So I thought, well, that's a bummer. It ends up popping up again at 9:30 at the open, and I didn't jump back in. I just said, no, I'm not going to trust that. But it is actually holding up better right now. So that was kind of funny. It's a biotech stock with news, 5.5 million share float. So it just didn't want to hold up. So that was 8 a.m. Then my next trade was 8:30, BLBX. So BLBX, you can see I made $300 on it. Not much. This one popped up and is now red on the day. It had news. So it pops up and does total reversal and goes red on the day. Unbelievable. Made $300. All right. Well, whatever. Jumped in as it was popping up and thought it would go higher. I did buy a micro pullback. So in yesterday's episode, I talked about the micro pullback strategy. And I'll put the link in this episode as well at the top of the comments. I'll pin it and I'll put it in the description. The micro pullback is by far my favorite setup that I trade almost every single day. So it's definitely a setup I would encourage you guys to learn. So I'll put that PDF where you can download it and begin looking at these charts on even on the 10-second time frame. You'll see micro pullbacks. So got a small trade on that, and then BDRX pops up, and I was a little confused because I just traded BLBX, and I was like, BDRX, I kind of mistook it as just being the same stock. They're also very similar price range. But then I realized it was a different stock, and this one gave us a couple nice pullbacks right here, and I took my first trade on it at $4.50. So we squeeze up to about 470, we pull back, we come back up to 470, double top, we pull back, and then I bought for the squeeze up to 5. Now, on this one, I had to take slightly larger share size, but that wasn't a problem because the volume was picking up. So we had decent volume. But then at the open, it sold off. But in total, only made $4,600 on it. It was nothing crazy. Today was just basically small base hits and trying to keep the losses as small as possible. So I had a loss, of course, on DWTX, and I had a small loss on BLBX because I was green on the first trade and red on the second. If we look at BDRX here, so my first entry was right there, that green candle right there for the breakthrough 450. It goes up to 470. So not bad, 15,000 shares on that trade, made like, $1,500 or so, 10 cents a share. It pulls back, did a dip off of the $0.50, pops back up, made a little bit more on that. It pulls back, sells off. Then as it pops back up here, I jumped in right there. That was a small winner, didn't really do much. Pulls back, pops up, pulls back, pops up. And then right here, I got back in for this attempt through 5. And on that one, I bought 25,000 shares. I actually scaled to 30,000. And, it didn't end up squeezing and holding 5. I still got a winner on it, but it wasn't the big winner I hoped it would be. And then after that, I was like, all right, you know what? Maybe time to size down. We're getting a little too close to the open, and I just don't want to push my luck. So I would say the cleanest action so far since the open has been on DWTX, which is ironic because it's the stock that has no news. But, that's the market that we're in right now. What you expect to go is choppy, and the one you don't expect ends up going. You would think that the one without news, shorts would be more aggressive on, but anyways, it does have a super low float, and that's certainly a factor, I think. So that's kind of where I'm at here today. A brief recap, not a ton to cover, but game plan tomorrow. I'll be live streaming at 7 a.m. Of course, for members here at Warrior Trading. So, and for those who are doing a 2-week trial. So if you want to do that trial, you can check it out. So I'll put the link in the description for that. You can scroll down. You'll see the link for the micro pullback PDF, the link for the small account, or the link for the 2-week trial. And then there's some other links in the description that you could check out as well if you're interested. And I'll be back at it first thing tomorrow morning. All right, so reminder as always, trading is risky. My results aren't typical. Please manage your risk, take it slow, and I'll see you guys bright and early tomorrow morning.